Alright guys, Fulo coming to you with another video. I hope y'all are doing okay. I hope y'all are living your best life. And I hope despite the circumstances we find ourselves under, you guys are still managing to prosper and flourish and find new opportunities for yourselves. So I want to talk some more boxing, and this video is going to be a very sensitive video in regards to boxing. And just in regards to the fact that, there indeed is a cold war in boxing. And as people who are in the sport and as people who like to spectate the sport, we have to really, I don't know how it can be done, but we have to really demand of ourselves and hold ourselves to account to find a way to bring vintage throwback boxing back where, fight in, fight out. The best fought the best, and there was no excuses for not doing so. Because nobody expects a fighter to have fight in, fight out, fight top tier competition. Nobody expects that, but I think as fans, we should hold fighters to account to give us these fights, because I'm just going to be real with you. The Canelo versus Yildirim fight was an exhibition fight. It wasn't a real fight, And I'm not saying I'm not saying that Yildirim basically threw the fight. I'm not saying that. What I'm just saying is that fight, everybody knew that Yildirim did not belong in the ring with Canelo. Everybody knew that this guy got beat by Eubanks Jr. Everybody knew that, he got beat by, I think, Anthony Dirrell. So people know that, that fight was just, it was a bogus fight. Everybody knows that, right? But and this is where it's going to get a little bit, this video is going to get a little bit controversial. But nationalistic driven fans will give Canelo a pass for that. Canelo is, granted, a Mexican fighter, okay? He has a very big Mexican fan base, okay? Ryan Garcia is another Mexican fighter who has a very big Mexican fan base, okay? Now, what happens though, unfortunately, and we get so caught up in our emotions and being nationalistically driven, is that you will support a fighter regardless of who he fights. You will support a fighter regardless of what he does between fights, meaning juice to the gills in terms of Canelo. And you will fight a fighter, you will support a fighter that will cap all day on Twitter and Instagram just for the simple fact he's your same nationality. And for me, that's not cool. Because at the same time, you'll criticize the fighters who want to fight him, and the main excuses is who has he fought? Who has he fought? They haven't fought anybody. Such and such got dropped. So my thing is this. This is my biggest question to people who, across the board, I'm talking about people across the board, being that you support the Charlo's stupid ass antics, be it that you support Deontay Wilder's stupid ass antics, be it that you support Vasily Lomachenko's stupid ass antics, be it that you support Canelo's cowardly ass antics, be it that you support Ryan Garcia or Teofimo Lopez's diva ass, cowardly ass antics. My question for you is that the people who want to fight these guys, who have been vocal in calling them out, if they haven't fought anybody, why doesn't he just get them out the way right away? Why don't they get them out of the way? That way you can prevent them from actually getting a bigger name in the future, and then you crawling back asking for a fight. Because we've seen this play out in history. We remember Floyd Mayweather was calling out Sugar Shane Mosley for a long time. We remember he was calling out Oscar De La Hoya for a long time. They didn't want no parts of him. But of course, when he got when a bag came with fighting Floyd, yeah, they took the fight. Yeah, and even in that Oscar De La Hoya fight, he was still B-side. But he was worth more. And so you have Teofimo now saying that, Devin Haney has to do more. Okay, so the fact that he has a WBC belt, it doesn't matter. And I'll say it before and I'll say it again, WBC messed up a whole lot of shit in boxing. Okay, but the fact of the matter remains, he has the belt. And so if you're so big on becoming undisputed, and if your daddy is so big on becoming undisputed, then fight the man. But of course he has to prove himself more. Right? Now I don't see what's impeding a Ryan Garcia fight with Devin Haney, being that they don't have opponents, and being that, from what I understand, these opponents are tap dancing around fighting Devin Haney. You know, and I go by actions. I don't go by nationality, okay? Although Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade is Cape Verdean, he's from the turf, okay? We share the same background, okay? We both have roots on that island, whereas I have roots on that island and on the mainland, right? But we still share roots there, right? But I even said in a video a long time ago, I said, I wish this man would have signed with Al Heyman. I wish this man wouldn't have pulled out of that Jermell Charlo fight. In a way, it kind of just blackballed him throughout boxing. You know, that's why he made a big mistake in that regards, okay? He signed to Matchroom thinking he's going to get these big-ass fights, and unfortunately, he didn't get these fights. You know, I got to keep it all the way real, right? So now, I look at actions, okay? And if you move a certain way, then chances are I'm not gonna respect you. You know, I'm gonna say something about boxing. And I just find this to be true. If your demeanor will have a lot to do with the way you fight. Okay? I'm actually reading a book about Muhammad Ali. And although Muhammad Ali was slick talking, okay, had swagger and things like that, many people said that when you got with him behind closed doors, he was quiet, he was reserved, and he was kind of often serious too. And so you look at people like a Jaron Ennis, you look at people like Beterbiev, you look at people like a Bivol, and they kind of have similar temperaments. You look at even an Earl Spence, for example. You know, they all have kind of similar temperament where they're like kind of, really when you think about it, they're very laid back and there are very few words. And they don't have this like diva-ish ass behavior. But when you look at the people who have diva-ish ass behavior and stuff like that, you know, they fight kind of like just like they don't really impress me. That's just me personally. You know, Ryan Garcia don't impress me, he flat-footed. Teofimo Lopez don't impress me, he flat-footed. Canelo is a good fighter with good let's just say with good come forward, slipping, punching movement, but again, he's flat-footed. I'm sorry to say it, but boxing is very subjective. And as I said before, many times, I'm attracted to a certain style. And fighters like Ennis, fighters like Andrade, fighters like Beterbiev, fighters like Bivol, they fit that criteria of styles that I like, okay? And unfortunately, the other people I named don't fit in that criteria. Devin Haney is another one that fits in that criteria of fighters I like, stylistically, okay? By coincidence, Jaron Ennis happens to be black. Devin Haney happens to be black. Bivol and Beterbiev are from the Eastern Bloc. And I want to add one more. David Morrell Jr., a new Cuban fighter at super middleweight, happens to be Cuban, who has that same similar style of boxing, okay? Now, if there's a Mexican fighter who fights like that, then let me know and put him on the bottom of this page. Then maybe I'll check him out. But to be honest, I don't really see any that fight in that kind of style or have those similar skill sets to the ones I named. And that's just the reality. All right, if I was based on nationality myself, then I would just support Wilder from the head to the toe, okay? But the bottom line is that one-trick pony power lasted for a little while, but then when you found I made the mistake of thinking that he was more versatile. I made the mistake of thinking that he had more of a skill set, but it turns out he didn't. So what does that mean? He's not on my list. When you look at Jamel and Jamal Charlo, sorry to say it, but they don't fit that skill set. Athleticism, sure. Yeah, definitely. Power, sure, definitely. But anything other than that, not really. I'm not gonna even lie to you. I personally speaking, I prefer Tony Harrison to Jamel Charlo. Because even in the second fight, he was beating his ass until he just got careless. Yeah, he was beating Jamel Charlo's ass. Because he had more skill. And I'm into skills. I'm sorry to say, but I'm into skills. I'm into versatility. I'm into well-rounded fighters. I don't like one-dimensional fighters. And so when you look at someone like Earl Spence, yeah, some people may call him one-dimensional. People may go with that narrative that, he's just one-dimensional. But he showed you he can box against Mikey Garcia. He showed you he can box against Lamont Peterson, right? So that's why he makes the list. Now, granted, he's not flashy as, say, a Jaron Ennis. He's not as flashy as him, right? But what he does is get the job done, and he fights behind a very good jab, and I can appreciate that, And so it's not my fault that these fighters have certain skill sets, and Canelo doesn't have that skill set, Teofimo doesn't have that skill set, and Lomachenko and others don't have that skill set. Okay? And the thing is this. For me personally, I'm not asking people to fight the top guys, fight in and fight out. I'm just asking to do it at least once a year. At least fight someone with a pulse once a year. Because I'm going to be honest with you. The way that Billy Joe Saunders fight is going to play out is going to be the way that the Amir Khan fight is going to play out. Billy Joe Saunders will probably box 5 rounds, and then Canelo in like the 6th or something is going to catch him with something big. And that'll be that. Okay? Billy Joe Saunders, I'm sorry, does not have dog in him. Even during the Willie Monroe fight, he looked like shit. Okay? Even during the Chris Eubanks fight, he looked like shit. All right. His best performance was the David Lemieux fight, and we know why that was his best performance, because he had his little friend, Mr. Nasal Spray. And it just is what it is. You know? So that's my thing. That's the issue I have. You know? That's the issue I really have with a lot of these people in boxing. And especially people, and you have to ask yourself this question. Are you a fan of boxing, or are you a fan of a fighter? Or let me get even deeper. Are you a fan of boxing, or are you a fan of a nationality? That's what I want to know. You know? But other than that, man, that's all I got. And, you know, when it comes to boxing, this is the way I'm going to look at it. You know, I'm going to look at it like this. I'm not going to hold my breath for these big fights. I'm not going to hold my breath for them. Okay? I'm just going to accept what is going to come in boxing while using my little platform. It is a small platform. Don't get me wrong. I got a very small platform. Okay? But inshallah, it will grow bigger. You know what I mean? And so I'm going to use my small platform to be vocal about the fuckery that goes on, you know? And my thing is this. My version of hating, my version of hating is basically wanting to see someone's downfall, wanting to just for someone not to succeed, wanting someone to, you know, just basically not flourish and prosper. My thing is this. When it comes to the people I name who have diva tactics, like Teofimo Lopez, like Ryan Garcia, like these people, my thing is this. I'm just at the point where I want to see these fights, okay? Because they make for good fights. They make for big revenue, too. Okay? That's the thing. That Miguel Berchelt fight against Oscar Valdez, that was a good fight. This is what people want to see more of, okay? And many people thought that Miguel Berchelt was going to win that fight. But lo and behold, we got a surprise, you know? And so that's what boxing is about. And I'm not saying that, I'm not even saying that these guys who I want to fight one another, I'm not saying that my favorite fighter will win, okay? It's just that certain skill sets and certain tools that they possess, you would favor them, okay? But that's not to say that they're just going to go in there and it's just going to be a one-sided affair. That's not to say that. But we'll never know, because the quote-unquote cash cow or the quote-unquote diva really feels some certain type of way about fighting them. And, you know, unfortunately, part of that has to do with Floyd Mayweather. You know, unfortunately. because of that 50 and 0. Nobody wants to have a O. Nobody. They all want to keep a O. It's hard to keep a O, bro. You have to be a extraordinary talent to keep a O. You know? And the greats fell short many times, but it's just how you get back. You know? Having a career in boxing is a blessing enough. You know? But I'm going to tell you one thing, and I'm just going to end this video. You doing all these diva-like tactics and things like that, you doing Twitter fingers and stuff like that, and not intending on fighting the guys that you said you were going to fight, like Ryan Garcia capping, I'm going to fight Pacquiao, and, you know, I'm going to knock Tank out and stuff like that. You doing that, it's not going to keep you getting up from, like, it's not going to keep your O, bruh. For real. It's really not going to keep your O. Because the people who really want to keep their O, they're working. They're grinding. And so that's like a Jaron Ennis who does that. And Beterbiev and like Bivol. You don't really hear them on social media that much. Okay? Because they're working. Every time when you look at Jaron Ennis' social media, or when you look at Beterbiev's social media, when you look at Devin Haney's social media, for the most part, Devin Haney as well, they're always doing something pertaining to boxing, be it running, be it some strength training, or something like that. Okay, meanwhile, you see, you know, these Twitter fingers and things like that, Ryan Garcia and Teofimo Lopez putting on these duck outfits and shit like that, thinking that shit is cool, and their fans co-signing it. You know, just because they happen to be Hispanic. And I don't like that shit, bro. I don't like that. For real. It's just not cool for me, man. But anyhow, man, I got to do some work right now. I got to go get my miles in. You know, these miles aren't going to do themselves. And I'll catch y'all with the next one, man. If anything, if any of y'all want to do a boxing panel on StreamYard, it can be either on my channel, or I can go to your channel and we can do it and just discuss. I'm down for that. You know, I'm definitely down for that. So just let me know, man. I'm standing by. You know. But anyhow, man, leave your thoughts and leave your comments. Like and subscribe to the page. And, you know, stay tuned, man. We got some good stuff coming on this page, man. The marathon continues, man. For real. Fula signing out. Njara.